I'd like to open the meeting tonight expressing with a somewhat heavy heart. Many of you are aware of the shooting in North Codorus Township in York County mid-afternoon. 3 Northern Regional Police officers are injured, 1 critical. 1 deputy sheriff from York County is injured. And then the suspect died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Regardless, these are human beings. They impact families. They impact communities. Please join me for a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. May we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
Commissioner Castranio,
Present.
Commissioner Cochran,
Present.
Commissioner Fairchild,
Present.
Commissioner Walsh.
Present.
Our meetings of August 20 were distributed. Are there any questions, additions, or corrections?
Yeah, Mr. Martin, I had a couple suggestions or corrections.
Okay.
So on page 6 or page 5, there's reference to Denise Wallace. And I was actually referring to McNeese Wallace, the law firm. Okay, and then on,
Just renamed the law firm.
yeah, right, or Alexis did. And then on page 6, I made reference to the Weldons on McCormick Road, and they actually live at 921 McCormick Road. If that could be added, it would help clarify what I was talking about. And then on page 9, we were having a discussion about the future land use map. And Mr. Cochran was quoted as saying he has no objection to it, but then the vote was reported as 3-2. And I thought it was 4-1, so 3-2 is correct. Jim would know, you were.
Yeah, I voted against it.
Oh, okay, all right. So, thank you, that's all I had.
Okay. Any other? Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. I do want to note that this meeting will be live streamed via Zoom for those who wish to attend virtually. A recording of the session will be made available on YouTube after the meeting. By way of visitors, I don't see any visitors that are registered to speak on an item other than is already on the agenda. So if you want to speak on an issue that's not listed on our agenda, now is your time. Otherwise, we will pause and continue with the agenda. Yes,
Yeah.
and I was going to, yes, and I'm, as a matter of fact, great segue, Alexis. We have Dave Shiner here tonight, who is, I don't know, the president, the owner, the chairman, something with Mechanicsburg Meals and Wheels. Why don't you tell us about
I'm just
Mr.
the chief
Shiner?
cook and glorified bottle washer. Now, first off, thank you very much for having me. I can't believe it's been a year since I've been here last. And I want to thank the township for a very generous donation you've made. It really is, well, it's exciting for us to get things from townships like that. Meals and Wheels, as you know, is a self-funded entity. We are not affiliated with the National Meals and Wheels program and with no state or federal funding. So therefore, when they had the belt tightening with a lot of budgets, it didn't really affect us at all. All of our proceeds are gathered by either donations from townships and churches and civic associations and individuals, and also several fundraisers which we run each year. We're very active in the crop walk. We have the JoJo's car shows during the summer, and I'm in the process of putting together a spring sporting clay shoot, which should be kind of fun. This year, the running 12 months, we delivered just a little less than 50,000 meals. This is accomplished with the help of about 150 volunteers and 1 paid employee. That's our food and kitchen director, which is a new gentleman that took over our past director, Karen Stein, who you may know has been there for decades. The new gentleman, Reverend Lynn Hockenstein, Hochstetter. Interesting guy. Of course, he's a pastor at the church. He's also the director of their community center. He's a retired military. He's a diesel mechanic, a chef, and likes motorcycles. So he checked all the boxes off of me. So our entire staff, packers, delivery people, board of directors are all dedicated volunteers. Our program provides a hot and cold meal that we prepare and deliver every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the cost of about $34 a week, which is about $5 less than what it actually cost us. And that's even with volunteer labor. Participants pay based on their financial ability to pay. Around 1/3 are free. But our goal is to provide for anyone who needs our services regardless of their financial position. At the present time, we service about 25 people in your township. It's usually between 20 and 30. That's people come and go out of the program. Another interesting thing, and this is my recollection looking at addresses, so I might be off a little bit here, but I think there's about 37 people from Rhode Island Township that volunteer for our program. Once again, I'm assuming some of the addresses are in your township. I go around to a lot of churches and civic groups and talk, and they always ask me one thing, how do you qualify? Well, first off, you have to live in our service area, which is, we call the greater Mechanicsburg area. It's basically all the townships around Mechanicsburg. We do not deliver in Campfield and Lemoyne because they have their own program. And for some reason, Messiah and Bethany will not let us deliver to their village. Now, Messiah Towers is a totally separate entity and we do deliver there, but they just, no, so we do what we can. Second requirement, if you're over 70 years old, you qualify, which I'm having a rough time getting my head around because I'm turning 70 this year. So, but that's a fact. You're over 70, you qualify. And if you're under 70, homebound and have some sort of physical or mental issue that prevents you from leading a normal life, you also qualify for the program. About 30 to 35% of the people that receive from us are actually impoverished. I mean, this is their form of basically substance. Many of them are, even though they qualify for food banks, are incapable or in a lot of cases just don't have the means to get to a food bank. So we're their only way of getting nourishment. Another, around 1/3 are financially stable people, but need us because of their physical needs. Sometimes they're short-term because of maybe an injury or a sickness, and they just want to be on for several months. And sometimes they're long-term where they stay on until they have to leave us because of either going in some sort of skilled care or unfortunately passing. And there's another interesting group, and I just started doing some research on this. Right under 1/3 of people that are receiving, actually their children set them up for this. And what that does is not only provides them with the fact that they know they're getting food 3 times a week, but also somebody's physically checking into them, with them. Now that's not our primary goal, but we do have emergency numbers. If one of our delivery people sees something, especially someone that they know, because most of our delivery people do the same deliveries over and over again, and they get to know all the people, and they contact it. Last week, I was over at Sharmanstown Borough, and when I got finished saying exactly the same thing I just said now, John Getz, the president there, mentioned that his father lived in Colonial Park and was served by Dauphin County Meals on Wheels. And he said that they noticed his father didn't look well, contacted him, and he accredits Meals on Wheels for allowing him a chance to say goodbye to him before he passed away. That right after that, he passed. So that struck me in my heart. And I said, John, do you mind if I tell other people about this? And he said, well, I wouldn't have said it in the meeting if I'd been, wasn't proud of it. So that's basically all I have. I just want to thank you for support and ask that you consider your support in 2026 and willing to take any questions anybody has.
Any questions of Mr. Shiner? We are just entering budget time, so I am sure that we will consider your request.
Well, thank you. You've always been great. Have a great day.
Thank you for coming. You're welcome to stay, but you're probably busy with other things. That's understandable. You may be excused. Moving then to the consent agenda, we have the staff reports along with bills in the amount of $799,000 plus and the Winding Hills PRD sanitary sewer dedication and financial. Why don't we, there might be individual questions on that one. Why don't we take the staff reports and the consideration of bills? Are there any questions or comments on those? I do have a question for the fire department. I'm sorry, Tom, I didn't hit you before, but I'm looking at the reports and then our call activity. And I note that there are 67 calls this month in the log. And 24 of them were dispatched and canceled en route, and 13 of them were alarm system activations with no fire unintentional. Now, that's 55% of our calls were not really a call. So I'm still proud of the volunteers that go and respond, and that's what you should do. But is there any way we can cut down on canceled en route and unintentional alarms? That just feels high to me. So maybe we'll have to give out candy to people that don't submit a false alarm or something. I don't know.
I can let you know this. I was up at 3:45 this morning for a smoke detector going off. And it was in a pile of debris in the back of a pickup truck. And when it started raining, the smoke alarm went off. Somebody called it in. So if we find a way to do it, I'm all for it.
Yeah. No, I applaud your service, but it just bothers me that we're rolling rigs 55% of the time when we wouldn't have to. And that's not your fault.
Yeah, I agree 100%, but I mean, to be able to tell which
You never
calls
know.
are real and which
Yeah.
ones aren't, you know, it's-
We do have some type of recourse when businesses have fire alarms.
yeah,
go
we'll
off.
submit them to the police secretary and then the police will have a hearing with the building owner and it's after 5 calls, it becomes a nuisance. So then the police department will send them a fine.
I didn't realize it was fine. That seems excessive.
And then I noticed we had talked last time and in your police report, Chief Parsons, you referenced that we're going to install flashing no turn on red signs at the market in Gettysburg. Are they in order? Have they been installed yet? Do you know the status of those?
I do not know the status of those signs. I know that the speed signs that are going to be posted in Shepherdstown have arrived.
Okay.
So,
All of them. Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, Mr. Martin, I had a question about the solicitor's report. I don't know if he's allowed to answer or not fully, but I believe the CVS drugstore right up the road here appealed its assessment and then appraisals were done. And then is there going to be, like, there's a difference of appraisals and then the township and the school district have a position and CVS has a position? Is there going to be court activity on that?
Yes, is this on? Yes, there'll be court activity on that. There's, the school district has hired an appraiser and has asked the township to pay a pro rata portion of the cost for that appraisal. But that's going to be down the road.
And do we know what that cost will be yet? I mean, approximately, I just wanted to get an idea.
If you don't have it immediately, you can get back to us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to get back to you.
Okay.
So I think I expressed before, I was sympathetic to CVS's appeal, just given that a Rite Aid store closes every other day seemingly, and they would seem to have a case that the value of their building is less. So I would hope a compromise could be reached. So just wanted to say that.
Well, I mean, a lot of times usually these cases are negotiated without a trial once both appraisals are done.
Thank you.
Anything else? Do I have a motion to accept the staff reports and pay the bills?
So moved?
Second.
Been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Opposed, no. Motion carried. Then the Winding Hills PRD, the sanitary sewer dedication financial discretion. Do you have anything you wish to say on that, or does the board have any questions?
I don't have anything to add than what's in my memo.
Okay.
I will let the public know I will be abstaining from voting on this item since I am employed by the developer's engineering firm.
Okay. Any other thing? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Could I ask, did GHD like inspect the lines and all that?
So CS Davidson inspects these facilities, the developer installed facilities.
Okay. But not
CS
the regular
Davidson.
sewer engineer. Okay.
Correct, because they're already out there for other services. So we use them.
Okay,
That makes
thank you.
sense. Anything else? All in favor, aye? Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Moving then to public safety, no action required, but Chief Parsons, you caught my eye first.
Okay, thank you, sir. We conducted interviews on Monday and Tuesday of potential candidates. We interviewed 21 people, and we have 12 that passed. So we're going to be continuing to pursue the hiring process for up to 3 of those individuals. So that was a bigger turnout than we have had probably for the last couple of years.
That's
So we're
on
satisfied with
record.
that.
So
Great.
how many people completed the test?
We
Or how
had
many were eligible?
12,
12.
yes.
That we consider eligible for our
Correct,
consideration.
correct.
But how many were in that pool?
In the pool, I think we had about 70. I'm sorry, we had 100 total people applied.
Really?
Yeah, and about 70 showed up, I think.
If I may interrupt, I only point that out to just again show the level of professionalism and discipline that this police department has. 100 people qualified to be a policeman. They didn't even look, but any at the 12 best of that group. So that speaks volumes. Go ahead, Chief.
Thank you, sir. Another point is we got our level 2 sound meter. So this sound meter is going to let us use it in more environmental conditions. With the sound level 1, we had to have certain temperature range, limited wind. With the sound 2, it's going to allow us to use the sound meter in more conditions, environmental conditions, so we'll be able to use it more. So we're prepared for that. There was a traffic study done in the 300 block of Allen View Drive based on a complaint from a citizen. I've sent that to the commissioners here this evening. That study determined that there was no speeding issue in the 300 block of Allen View Drive.
I'm sorry, Chief, when did you send that?
This evening, just about half an hour ago.
Oh, okay.
So
I don't think I saw that yet, but in any event, is that in response to the request by the resident in the vicinity of Foxfire?
that is
Okay.
correct.
Well, that's fast response. Great. So when you analyze that report, I appreciate if you would just contact that individual or
Yes,
let
sir.
them know that, we take concerns seriously.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Chief Schomburger.
Yeah, as you mentioned earlier, we had 67 calls last month. The average turnout was 5.49, which is down a little bit from what we were. We were probably close to 8. Now we're down to around 5, but we're taking steps to hopefully turn that back around. So that's 585 calls so far this year. So busy year. We're up probably 10 or 15% from last year. And we got our build number for our squad, which was ordered last November, which is a good thing. We're expecting delivery spring of 2029.
Whoa. You ordered this thing when?
We, the township signed the contract last November,
Of
2024, yeah.
2024, and we're getting it in 29.
Spring of 29 is the completion date they gave us.
If I figure that's close to 5 years.
Yep.
Wow.
We figured when we bid it out, we figured it was gonna be 4 years, and they came back and said it's gonna be probably till everything's done, it'll be spring of 2029.
And what were the payment terms on that?
The township elected not to put any money or anything down on it until completion because of the last one that went 2.5 years. So, which was, I think, a wise choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to emphasize, we ordered a fire truck, which we need for our replacement schedule, but we're not paying for it till we get it, so.
Yeah, we're gonna be actually 2 years by the time it comes in, and we were due for replacement in 27. We're gonna be 2 years past that, so.
Will that affect fire insurance premiums?
The ISO ratings, we just had one done, so hopefully they don't do the next one. And I think if we explain to the ISO representative, that we have one on order, we're just waiting, because it's all manufacturers across the board all have about a 4-year lead time. So it's nothing new to the fire service, so.
Okay.
Amazing. Thank you. Any questions, the chief? All right, moving then to planning and zoning, we have nothing on our agenda. Oh, yes, we do on page 2. All right, the first is a certificate of appropriateness for 443 McCormick Road.
Excuse me, Mr. President. I
Yes.
just wanted to announce that I'll be recusing myself from voting on 3A, the certificate of appropriateness, as this request is coming from me for my property, and it would be a conflict of interest.
Ah, that's right. That's the one that we were going to put gold shingles on, right? No. Michael, are you representing this?
Yes, I am. On August 19th, the Historic Architectural Review Board reviewed the application for the
Excuse me,
replace.
hold it a little bit closer.
On October 19th, the Historic Architectural Review Board reviewed the application for the replacement of the roof at 443 McCormick Road, a portion of the roof. And they recommended the board approve the applicant's request 4-0.
All right. Any questions of anyone on that? I would entertain a motion. Or I'm sorry, any comments from the audience on this replacement roof? Okay, Rick?
I'll move to grant a certificate of appropriateness to Mr. Philip Walsh to replace the existing cedar shakes on a portion of the roof of his home and shed at 443 McCormick Road with new cedar wood shakes. All work is to be in accordance with the applicable building codes and ordinances and in accordance with the building design and specification as submitted and reviewed by the Historical Architectural Review Board.
Is there a second?
Second.
We moved and seconded. Discussion? Comments from the audience? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried, 4 yes, 1 abstention. Okay, then a certificate of appropriateness for 316 Gettysburg Pike.
Same meeting on August 19th. Mr. Anderson at 316 Gettysburg Pike made an application to the HARB to replace the metal windows with vinyl windows. The HARB approved, well, they recommended approval for this one as well, 4-0.
Okay, any questions? Is the proposed action?
I'll move to grant a certificate of appropriateness to Michael Anderson to replace the 8 second-floor windows at 316 Gettysburg Pike with new vinyl windows. All work is to be in accordance with applicable building codes and ordinances and in accordance with the building design and specification as submitted and reviewed by the Historical Architectural Review Board.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, I would just, if I might, just offer a note to the applicant. I would encourage you to consider dimensional exterior grills in the event that's something you can afford to do. At least to look into them for the simulated divided light just on the front of the house. Just a suggestion.
Okay, anything else?
I would just say I attended that HARB meeting and met Mr. Anderson, and he's experienced in home renovation, and he's really trying to match what is already on the home. And when a vacancy comes up on the HARB, I would encourage you to apply in the future because you have, really good expertise.
Let's make sure we remember his name. Anything else? We have a motion and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Now, action to authorize a conditional use public hearing for 211 through 237 Gettysburg Pike. Michael?
This is Shepherdstown Crossing. This is our first master sign plan application coming before the board under our new sign ordinance. It's a conditional use, so we have 60 days from the application submission, which was August 29th, to hold a hearing. The applicant has given us an extension to November 7th, just in case you need to schedule for the 1st November Board of Commissioners. I would recommend leaving yourself 1 hour because this is our first time trying this, and you might not be able to get it done in a half an hour. So I gave you some options here, and I'll let you choose.
Mike, can you how's the process go? Does it go to planning commission? Does it go to the county or is it just coming
It just goes before you,
No planning commission review or anything, just here.
just to you, yes.
So you're suggesting, Michael, that that would be the second meeting in October, October 15, and you're suggesting a start time of 5 PM, correct?
Yes, I would.
All right, questions or comments related to this item? Questions of Mike or just comments in general? I would entertain a motion to establish the public hearing.
I move to advertise a public hearing before the Board of Commissioners to be held on October 15th, 2025 at 5 PM. The public hearing will be held to receive testimony regarding a conditional use application for Shepherdstown Crossing, 211 through 237 Gettysburg Pike, to permit a master sign plan in accordance with Section 245-18.18 of the zoning ordinance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved in second. Any discussion? And just so the audience is, knows what we're talking about, this is the corner on Gettysburg and Market Street. Right now, we refer to it as the Chick-fil-A lot because that's the major thing there, but I think with time, there's going to be lots more buildings there, but that's to do a comprehensive sign ordinance, to look at all of the signage in that lot from the various frontages and buildings so that it's an integrated and consistent sign palette as opposed to a lot of irregular and some 20 feet high and some flashing and all kinds of things. So it will be a integrated plan, which is the first we're actually doing that in the township. This is a new opportunity for developers, and I think a good disciplined approach to managing visual, I was going to say pollution, not pollution, just visual stimuli in businesses. All right. Anyone else? Any comments from the audience? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no? Motion carried. We will meet October 15, and Michael, you and your colleagues will make sure that that's advertised appropriately. Okay, great. Moving right along, we're at the ZHB update with respect to 1206 South Market.
1206 South Market Street is an ongoing case. We expect to have 2, maybe 3 more hearings on that one before they have a decision. We've already had 4. It just
4 hearings?
4 hearings, yes. And then 2 Conway Drive was an application for a fence in the front yard as a corner lot on Long Mount Island Drive, and that was approved.
Do we have a deadline in terms of, the hearings in the process to get back to the applicant, or?
It's going on for about a year now. This was first submitted in 2024. There were delays in getting it even before the board. There's no deadline that they've
Okay.
told me about yet, no.
So there's not something after you have your first hearing, you have to have all successive hearings within 90 days or something. It's just
That's
to
correct.
show progress. Okay, thank you. Any questions on that?
No, and just for clarity, I think the applicant postponed a couple of the dates, didn't they?
They did, yes.
Okay, so it's a work in
They're-
progress.
Yeah, they're dragging it out a bit too.
And then the other item on our agenda under planning is the authorization to advertise for a proposed ordinance to manage data centers. And at this point, there is not a data center that I'm aware of in the township, but I think anyone who is aware of what's happening in contemporary development, data centers are becoming a more common improvement. And I think improvement meaning a building. I didn't mean that qualitatively. And so I think the suggestion was that we look at this and have an ordinance in place prior to receiving an applicant as opposed to working after the fact. So
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just as further clarification, we just proposed a basic ordinance to get us started. So there's something on the books. Because that's the easiest thing to do and get something out there. And then we can come back and fine tune it.
refine it. Mhm.
So,
Go ahead.
I like the way it was worded. I mean, it's very short and sweet. Basically only allowing data centers in the industrial district, the way that I read it. So it should protect the
And then with-
agricultural lands.
then only with-
And commercial, okay.
Yeah. And then
Um,
it's only permitted by special exception, so it's not automatic.
Right. So right now, the ordinance reads like a page and a half. It's just very to the point, and I think it accomplishes what we were, the objective at this point. So thanks the staff for putting it together so quickly.
It does not say in commercial uses. It says it's non-permitted use in commercial.
Okay. Thanks, Berkshire.
So I just want to make sure that everyone.
So I'll
Yeah,
move
so-
to authorize.
Go ahead, Josh.
Well, I was going to say, it was actually, I drafted the ordinance based on the directive of the commissioners at the last meeting. And it only allows data centers by special exception in the industrial district, the way
Okay,
that
thank
it's
you.
drafted. But the plan would be ordinarily to enact a zoning ordinance, you have to go through the approval process under the municipality planning code, which requires referral to the local planning commission and the county planning commission. And also the planning staff should have some input into this ordinance. So this was just a placeholder so that we can advertise something and get the benefit of the pending ordinance doctrine if we would get any applications while that review process is pending. So there may be some changes. What I would recommend is that you move to approve the advertisement of this immediately for enactment in either 60 or 90 days. That way it can go through the planning process before it's fully enacted. But we could advertise this as soon as the newspaper allows, if you authorize that tonight.
And we don't need to hold a public hearing for this, is that correct? Or
Well,
do-
eventually you will need
We
to
will.
hold a public hearing,
This is just to advertise.
but this is
Sure.
just to advertise
What?
the, we're just-
Advertise for a hearing?
no, we're advertising to adopt the ordinance.
Okay, that, we are in process, but we don't have the date set in terms of, I'm with you, thank you.
Correct.
Any other discussion or questions?
What is the ordinance number gonna be? It's blank.
Well, we don't know. We won't know until we get through the process. That's not filled in until after you get the
Okay.
whole way through.
And we don't know a date of the hearing yet. We're just
No,
gonna advertise.
It's just-
Okay.
just to get us started. So I'll move to authorize appropriate township staff to advertise the proposed data center ordinance.
Is there a second?
I second. Let Phil.
Been moved and seconded, discussion from the board. Any comments, questions from the audience? All in favor, aye? Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Anything else for planning, Michael?
Nope, that's it.
All right, then we're moving to public improvements. First item listed is Bishop Bridge. And I don't know that we have any proposed action or discussion. I suspect, Lou, we have this on if there is any discussion or update.
That's correct. We had just for the public's knowledge, we did have a meeting on-site at Bishop Bridge on Thursday, about a week and a half ago, just to talk about it, get an update from the county, to talk to the Klein Peters that butt up against that particular property. A memo was provided to the board with the notes of the key points that we took away from that meeting. And just so everyone knows, the county anticipates that they will advertise the bids probably within the next month or so. And it's their intent that they would award the bid before the end of the year. And that construction would start on the demolition of the bridge sometime at the beginning of the year. And anticipation that they would be completed prior to spring when fishing starts on Yellow Beach.
And just so, just to refresh everyone's mind, we've discussed this issue for months or many times. And the board took action on June 4th of this year to not take possession of the bridge. The discussion we've had to date was it's a county-owned bridge. They wanted to offer for ownership to the township. And so action was taken to not accept that ownership. So The bridge is still owned by Cumberland County, hence the reference by Manager Fazekas of their plans for the timeline for the demolition.
Yes, and the plan is what, I guess what was discussed at that meeting is the turnaround would be installed at the Messiah University Emergency Access Drive, and that it would limit public access on Bishop Road to the creek. We did find out recently that there is a deed with a restriction for public access to the creek itself in that, since we had that meeting, that was discovered. So I think a copy was provided to the board. If not, I do have copies here if you want to take a look at it. I think I sent it out to everyone. I think for tonight, it's just just to confirm that the plan to do the turnaround at Messiah University is acceptable because not all 5 board members were present, and there was really no action taken out there. It was just an update on what the county plans on doing and their proposed timeline. And
I might mention, and piggybacking on that, Lou, that I spoke to Ms. Kathy Schaefer today, who is the Vice President of Campus Operations of the university, who is familiar with the plans, fully endorses the plans to have the turnaround by the emergency access and for use, and indicated that they already have given keys to several of the immediate neighbors in the event that they'd ever get marooned in a situation where they couldn't get out, that they could get out through the university. So the university is very supportive of the turnaround.
And just to clarify what Mr. Fazekas said, the deed of dedication itself does not expressly have the limitation of public parking and creek access, but the deed references an unrecorded agreement from the prior property owner who dedicated that land to the township. And in that agreement, there's a restriction that the dedication shall not include the right of public parking or creek access at either end thereof. And so that's where that comes from. If someone went to the recorder of deeds, they wouldn't find that on the recorded deed.
So then help me, is that even valid, Mr. Bond? Because
Well,
if
yes,
it's not recorded, does it have standing?
but the deed references the agreement.
Oh, okay.
And it's an unrecorded agreement, but the deed references it. So that runs with the land.
Michael, come on.
Mike Kleinpeter, 104 Bishop Road. Speaking on behalf of the deed, I actually had researched and found that. And it is a recorded deed, and it does have specific language in that deed that I reviewed with Solicitor Feinhauer months ago that specifically says no parking, loitering, or creek access, and that's written into the recorded deed. So if you have a copy of it there, I can show you where that is.
Yeah, if I have the copy.
Sure.
I just talked with Steve Feinhauer yesterday, so.
Well, in any event, while they look at that, we can,
And just for clarity for the audience, all this work is being done, it's under the direction of Cumberland County, but the cost is split 50-50 between Cumberland County and York County because the two counties currently own all the bridges across the Yellow Breaches. In the near future, the West Shore Historical Society will own Sheepford Road Bridge, but right now they're all owned by the two counties. So each county takes management role of one of the bridges or several of the bridges, and Cumberland County manages Bishop Bridge. So they'll do all the work, and they just want to make sure that the things that they were proposing to do were okay with the Kleinpeters and with the township.
Josh, you wanted to, did you want to continue?
I stand corrected from what Mike Kleinpeter just stated. He did point out that restriction is also expressly stated in the deed at a later part in the deed.
So I'm very curious why that didn't come out until today, that we see these documents, or that it could even exist, or that the right of way wouldn't go way, way back until, the bridge was built in 1898 or whatever bridge, probably a covered bridge was there before that. I don't know how those rights could have been given away. And then on the screen there was the original C.S. Davidson plan for a turnaround at the, near the bridge. And it shows a 50-foot legal right of, or 50-foot dedicated right of way and a 33-foot legal right of way. And then that all gets confused by these various documents that were given at the last minute. And it just seems like it's very rushed and there's not been the proper analysis. Yes, Mr. Kleinpeter can have a claim, but I think that the township should do its own research and, you know, assess the validity before we take much further action.
Well, and we're not taking, just to be clear, board, we are not taking action. The action has already been taken. We are presenting this to information for the county's intent to this board and also to inform the citizenry.
And just, the information is not new. I mean, it might be new to Lou, but we've known about this deed restriction, I think directly as soon as the, C.S. Davidson made this proposal, we knew that, and that's why it didn't go any further. So that's,
I mean,
I don't have an email, but on me tonight, but I can provide the email when that document was circulated 2 years ago at least.
And this deed was recorded in May of 2006, so it's been a public record since that time.
But we just saw it today. Most of the commissioners here. I don't know what you have, Rick, but I haven't never received anything before.
That was prior to you being a commissioner.
And then our prior manager, Scott Frazier, has said that we could put a bench down by the creek if we wanted to. Is that true or not true? That implies creek access.
I don't recall what Mr. Frazier said, so I don't want to correct something that I don't know whether he said or not, but according to the deed, the said piece or parcel shall be used by the township for use as public passage, utilities, or for bridge purpose, and shall no time be used to convey rights on the public to park, loiter, or gain access to the creek. So I think it's very questionable that a bench could be put there.
And then also today, a legal memorandum written August 15th of 2023 cites some case law. I guess.
What are you referencing, Eric?
Legal memorandum. It was emailed to us this morning. It was asked for previously. So I don't know if it's the legal analysis or I don't know if there is no
That was,
current agreement with the Klein
Those were the-
Peters or the Bay Shores or anybody. This was just legal analysis
no,
2 years ago, apparently.
yeah, these were the copies of the things we got back in 2023.
Oh, okay.
Yes, this meant the memorandum you're referring to was distributed to the Board of Commissioners on August 15th, 2023. So it's not new information.
Yes, it is. When I only receive it today and we've been talking about the bridge for at least a year or most of my tenure on the board, to have not been told about this, I don't understand that. So we have it today. I still don't know what it is. Is this a legal analysis that supports, giving the township just giving away its rights?
Well,
Or
the township never had the right because the land was dedicated. The land was private land and it was dedicated with a restriction that it could be not used for public access or for creek access. So the township never had a right to give away. It never had that right.
And if we're not going to use it for a road, which we won't be, it reverts back to the Klein Peters, who are the due holders in course of the property. And that was what the county was talking to the Klein Peters about is would they prefer that the county take up some of the road from the bridge back up towards Mike's house, and Mike agreed with the county on what those dimensions would look like. So it'll be his land to maintain. And should we ever need to put in a bridge, we still have a right of way that's recorded on the deed and we can come in and whatever he's put there, we can take out and put a road in and put it to the bridge.
And to me personally, that's important because I don't think we want to give up the opportunity that some future generations might again want a crossing there. I mean, probably won't happen in my lifetime, but, okay. I also wanted to mention for the record, Alexis, that we received tonight a hand-delivered letter. The individual didn't wish to address the board or speak. It was from Rodney Nesmith at 1118 East Lisbon Road. He had 11 questions about the process and some questions just in general. And they will be reviewed by staff and answered with copies to the board members.
Well, Mr. Martin, can we read those questions in the course of this meeting?
They will become a part of the meeting.
If you hand them over to me, I'll read them at some point. Sir, you cannot push your own agenda.
I'm
and
not.
Basically take a resource away from the public and give it to a private owner based on questionable legal papers submitted at the last minute and basically, just take away a public right. In this memo, I've explained before, we went through a very long process just to give away or vacate a roadway by JoJo's Pizza last year. Yet all this has apparently occurred without ever being in the minutes or there ever being a hearing. The memo here says vacate and discontinue when deemed expedient for the public good. I see no public good here. I see good for the Klein Peters and the Bay Shores. And I'm very offended by that. I also met with the Klein Peters last Christmas and near Christmas, and you never mentioned, these rights at that time. No, you did not. And I understand your interest, but there's a public interest.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's make sure that that's on the minute because I think your integrity is being questioned. And please restate that you had the conversation and your wife is a witness.
Absolutely. So right before Christmas, this was 7 months after you and Commissioner Walsh met with the Bay Shores, who are York County residents, not Upper Allen or Cumberland County residents.
The Bay Shores.
That's not true.
That is true.
It is not true. So 7 months prior, you guys met with them.
Were you there?
We did not.
Don't recall this.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes,
You like crazy?
yes, on the York side. So.
I flew to the moon too, Mike.
All
I
right.
mean, really?
Well, let's continue this. So Christmas time, 3 weeks before this was to come before the board for discussion, you decided to reach out finally. 3 weeks prior to it.
I did. I thought Phil had reached out to you.
Nobody reached out to us.
previously.
Nobody.
Well,
Let me
we saw
finish,
your-
please. I
we
have the mic.
Inspected the bridge in February. of
Because you were
2024.
parked there illegally and she went out to find out what was going on.
Yeah, it's the same old thing that you own the bridge.
That's not
only
true.
Right away, but you think you own the bridge.
There are laws and all we're doing is trying to make sure that those laws are enforced.
Well, we parked on the Monaghan side, so you own that too?
That says no parking over there as well.
Well, so you enforce that as well?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. But that's why you park
You
over there.
apparently have a lot of political
May I
connections.
speak?
Yeah, please. Well, if it's a falsehoods and lies, I don't think you really deserve. the right
I'd like to
speak.
get it on record.
Well,
May I
get
speak?
it on the record.
So we met right after Christmas. We sat at our dining room table.
We met before Christmas.
It was around Christmas.
Okay.
And we had the discussion and I specifically shared that document with you. And I shared the 3 key elements of that there was no loitering, no parking, no creek access. And you said, I wasn't aware of that. My wife was sitting right beside us and she will recall that as well. I mentioned it to you 2 weeks ago when we were standing in front of my house. Same thing. Said the exact same thing. Jim was a witness to that. So you can't sit here and say this is the first time that you've been made aware of it. And I don't appreciate being questioned. The reason I came here tonight was because on 3 separate occasions now, you've been quoted as saying Upper Allen Township residents are losing creek access. And at no time did they have creek access. You have to cross private property to get to it. I'm not sure why you thought, well, I do know why you're doing it. You're doing it to drum people up, to get people excited that
No.
we're taking something away that was never theirs to begin with.
It's just standard that you have a right of way with a road.
It
The
is.
public can walk alongside the road,
But if
just
you-
like the bridge is like.
If you
part of the
follow the
road.
history back, the 1982 Land Development Plan is what established this. When Spencer Hall owned all that property, he put that restriction on it for the very reason that they were having the same issues that we still continue to have today. So they put the restriction on it to try to protect the people that live back there. That's all that was. We don't do it with malice. If people drive down and park in my driveway and say, is it okay for us to park here? Absolutely. It's the people that don't. And I don't want to become a police officer. So all we're asking for is to allow us to control that. If the bridge goes away, allow us to control that so I don't have to call the police every time somebody decides to drive all the way down there and park because they don't have creek access and they decide to hang out. That's all we're asking.
Okay, thank you.
So I did want to clarify that, but I would also ask that you take a look at some of the statements that you've made relative to creek access. You have it posted on your website. It was in the ABC interview. And just be careful with what you say because words matter. What you say has an impact. If somebody gets out of the creek and says, oh, Commissioner Fairchild said it was okay, I do this. This was my right to have creek access. That's not a good thing.
In general, creek access is desired by the community and we
And there's
spend a lot
plenty
of
of
money to
it.
create these creek access points.
There's-
And we have one and we're giving it away.
No, we
No,
don't.
you don't.
We don't.
Where the bridge is,
That's not public creek access. It never has been.
if the bridge isn't there, they should be able to walk through it. Like we all agreed, I thought as a board, that we were not giving up right away.
We are not giving up the right of way, but the right of way is restricted.
Right.
The right
You're
of way is
keeping the
their
right-of-way.
property that they've allowed the road to be built on. And since there's no longer going to be a bridge, they want the road taken up and they're going to take their property back. But our right of way, should we ever want to build a road and a bridge again, exists. The right of way goes with
Yes.
the deed. But it's, the right of way is on their property, not on our property. They gave us the right of way.
That's exactly right. And that's how those right-of-ways come to be. There are several ways that right-of-ways come to be, but that one was deeded.
Mike, are you going to say you gave me documents at our meeting at Christmas?
No, I did not, but
You did not.
I told you explicitly there that, hey, there's this deed restriction on here. And I said it twice. I remember repeating it to you twice. Because you said, say that again?
And
I
you
said it
you
twice.
Remember me talking about the JoJo's Pizza and all that process we went through to vacate that road?
Absolutely. But that's a
And-
road vacation. We're not talking about road vacation here. I'm not coming to the board asking you to vacate the right-of-way. I'm saying keep the
I mean,
right-of-way, but let
apparently
me
it's
manage
already
it.
been done according to what.
No.
No, it's not.
You misunderstood the memorandum. There was no, the,
Louder, Josh,
you must have misunderstood the memorandum because the memorandum recommended to not vacate the right of way.
We will keep
I
it-
thought
we will-
that's what the path we're on.
we
What
will
we're
keep
talking
the right
about
of
two
way.
different things, I think.
yes.
Yeah, look, on your website, it says that this only benefits 6 residents. The benefit to us was the bridge being open. Taking the bridge away is not a benefit to us. The only benefit now is that if it's not going to be used for vehicles, it needs to go because it is not a benefit to us. The benefit was we didn't have to drive 7 miles around to get wherever we want to go now because that bridge is out.
So at the January 8th, 2025 meeting, in our minutes, you spoke in favor of rehabbing the bridge only if it
vehicular
were
use.
for vehicular use.
Correct. And I still stand by
We-
that.
We did get a proposal for that. Mike, you reported that over the past 4 years, the bridge has become a gathering spot for people to loiter and do unsavory things. Later, you emphasized the fact that you support historic preservation and have restored your own home, which is a beautiful home, by the way. You also sit on the Farmland Preservation Board for the county. You found the RFP unimpressive, saying the price tag likely would climb from the base estimate of $900,000. At the February 19th, 2025 BOC meeting, in those minutes, you spoke against UAT Upper Allen, taking ownership of the bridge, saying it was not worth taxpayer money for its limited use. You also commented that it was unlikely that PennDOT would turn around anything in 60 days, leaving things in limbo. And
I still stand by that.
I know. PennDOT did come back with a memo. I think you.
So
seen
I
that.
did bring that along,
Okay, good.
and that memo has zero value to whether or not this project can actually be accomplished.
Oh, just like the paper you gave the solicitor.
No, that's a
I mean,
recorded legal document.
that's your interpretation.
Will you read it to
I
us?
will read it to you. So what it was a plan review comment form that is submitted to PennDOT prior to pursuing a project. Every single question that was asked on this review form, the person that filled this out wrote no response required. So no detailed information was provided to PennDOT whatsoever. All they were doing was responding to each of the required areas that are needed for a formal plan submission.
You're referring to?
The McCormick Taylor review.
So someone submitted a bridge?
Someone submitted
Conceptual design.
yes, after the June 4th vote.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Who
Within
submitted?
I'm sorry, it was received on April 19th. The response was June 6th.
It didn't get published until June 6th.
So the very last statement on here is the plan for preservation of the Bishop Bridge as presented does not contain sufficient detail or analysis to determine structural adequacy approval to advance to construction activities. However, in general scope of work as described and the types of repairs targeted would be able or approved for structural adequacy if properly analyzed and designed with the comments above being incorporated. This is not approval.
Correct. They need the full plans and specs
Right.
to do that, but the contractor needs to be
But-
paid money to generate.
But this has no value.
Yeah,
Yes, it
you're right.
does.
It has no value.
Yes, it does. From all the sources other sources I've
Okay.
talked to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments or
Yeah,
discussion?
just briefly, since it was referenced in the staff memo with regards to the board's decision not to take ownership of the bridge, I just would like to add that while it may be considered a foregone conclusion that the bridge is going to be demolished, it's my intention that as long as it exists, I'll continue to advocate for its preservation and eventual restoration of the bridge for vehicular use. And I would agree with the gentleman that the benefit of the bridge being open when it's being used for vehicles, absolutely, and that would be my intention if there's any way to save that bridge. That we did have an online petition, modest by some standards, significant in others. And there was a competing petition as well. My petition was for the township to take ownership of the bridge and to generally support the preservation of the bridge. The competing petition was not to use taxpayers' money for that purpose. So the response to our petition was, came in, last I checked, at 339 in favor of saving the bridge, with 16 responses, signatures for not using township money for that purpose. And I'll just finish up with two very brief comments that were made by people who had signed the petition online. The first one being from James Slug from Dillsburg. I traveled for my work and was out, excuse me?
What was his address?
You say it's from Dillsburg?
Dillsburg.
So how many of the 300 people were taxpayers?
70%, roughly 70%. As far, well, first of all, what shows up is it says Mechanicsburg, so we don't know
Okay,
because it says
so
Mechanicsburg.
we don't
right?
know.
And Mr. Weinick shows up as coming from like North Carolina, wherever his employer's sending his phone from. So it's really hard to say, but I estimated it. I cut out all the international and out-of-state stuff, and I held my thumb up, said that was about 70%
Okay.
within the area, okay?
Go ahead.
So
Continue.
regardless, I'll wrap this up. I traveled for my work and was out of the area all week, driving through urban areas, working with difficult customers and dealing with managers' poor decisions. When I crossed that bridge, I was able to leave all the problems and pressures of my week behind me. I knew I was home. Elaine Weibel from Upper Allen Township wrote, "What a lovely spot. When I visited in the spring, there were joggers and walkers crossing the bridge in both directions. I stopped the young man to chat. His observation was clear and direct. We love our bridge. Severing the only means of contact between the neighborhoods seems wrong historically and socially. There were several others, but
So that resident was from Montague, who the township does not want to donate any money to preserving the bridge.
I'm just, yeah,
I'm
just
just,
getting what an
adding that
individual
information.
signature referenced. I understand that, yeah.
All right. Any other comments?
Well, I agree with, I want the bridge to stay historic for vehicular traffic also. I just do not want Upper Elm Township to own the bridge and spend taxpayer money unless it's spread through both counties and a bunch of other municipalities.
I don't think that can happen based on the policy I've read. It's like the counties take a lead on the bridge. And then when you read the York County Bridge Plan, they classify the bridges or grade them A, B, C, D. And the lower bridges, they want to turn back to the municipalities, but only like a single municipality as owner. They don't want joint municipal ownership of the bridge. So we always all along have had a very short runway to do anything with the bridge. And I think even if what Mr. Kleinpeter and all this legal analysis says that you don't have any right of access to the creek, that's all the more reason to keep the bridge as the avenue of access. But this continued criticism, like about the petition or so forth, or who is affected here, it isn't eligible for the National Register. So that means it is of national importance. So people outside our township or our state can sign that petition. If you want to criticize that, I think they have a valid reason for signing it. I don't think the issue is money at all. It seems to be whether we value preservation or not in our community. And I think a first-class township should value its historic resources. Many studies, show they add value to the community. And the bridge has been here a long time. I get criticized by Mr. Brenneman sitting there because I, showed a picture one time, or I used to drive across that bridge in a, sports car, and it just lovely, beautiful area to drive through. And if that's the only access we have, I think we should keep it, because it is, I think, up there or good or better than McCormick Road for being one of the most beautiful areas of the township. And to be closing it off, and this idea that the counties can spend, nearly, probably when you add the Gilbert Bridge that they replaced with a concrete bridge, and this emergency access road that they built, nearly $3 million to benefit primarily just these limited number of property owners on Bishop Road, versus this extra money to restore the bridge properly. And I do believe it can be restored properly. So anyway, I think it's probably time for the public to chime in.
May I just remind everyone that currently the county owns the bridge. This board took action not to accept the bridge, so there is no action needed in terms of our agenda tonight. The discussion is good. I'm fine with allowing folks to express themselves, but the action, in my view, has already been taken.
No, Mr. Martin, you are running, here again, your own agenda, your own timeline, which came from Jim Cochran. We need to decide on June the 4th that we're taking ownership or not of this bridge. We could decide tonight to take ownership and notify the county, and it would set everything back in motion. And you'd be doing the county a favor, and I think the township residents a favor by doing that. You're obviously against preservation at the end of the day, and have been for years. There's always this ebb and flow of waiting, attacking like the historic districts and these resources, attacking the Lambert farmhouse. And then you lay back a while, and then it reemerges some months later on the agenda, and we have to try to rally people to come out again. And that is foolish. And
I hope people that know me personally realize that my character's being attacked, and there's a lot of gibberish here, and I don't think that's the person I am. I've had a career in higher education. I have preserved and rehabilitated no fewer than 20 academic buildings in York College of Pennsylvania that were historic and old. And rather than tear them down, we refurbished them. I like Grantham and other small villages that have historic features. I'm not against history, but I suspect for Perhaps your own agenda, you're trying to include me in that, but I think I've tried to run open meetings, Mr. Fairchild. I've given everyone an opportunity to speak. We have been very patient. We've been dealing with this for many months, years. And so does any other board member wish to address this issue? I'll get there.
Yeah, I was not going to say anything, but just in case this happened, I did prepare something. So I want to address some misinformation circulating about the process and the decision regarding Bishop Ridge. This statement is not meant to re-adjudicate the township's decision or to take ownership to not take ownership of the bridge. Rather, that issue has already been decided on June 4th of this year. In a recent email blast on September 14th, Commissioner Fairchild suggested there was a sudden push to get the bridge demolished before a new BOC could possibly revisit the issue in January 2026. However, at our June 4th meeting, I stated that Commissioner Fairchild had approached Cumberland County to request a delay on the vote for Bishop Bridge until January 2026, when he believed he would have 3 votes to take ownership. That request was denied by the county. The county wanted a decision. Their response makes sense in light of the timeline. November of 2014, Cumberland County first discussed removing Bishop Bridge. January 2018, the county approved and spent $360,000 on emergency access road through Messiah University. At that time, they stated publicly no further funds would be spent to keep Bishop Bridge open. The emergency road in place, there would be no longer a public safety reason to maintain Bishop Bridge. This was 2018. In July of 2021, Bishop Bridge was officially closed. In August of 2021, Cumberland County initiated the process to remove the bridge. If past commissioners, including Commissioners Martin, Castroni, and I, who served with Commissioners Anderson and Walter until December 2023, were dedicated to removing Bishop Bridge, it would have happened years ago. Instead, we explored ways to preserve the bridge without significant cost to Upper Allen Township taxpayers. We hoped a private group like the Friends of Sheepford Road Bridge would emerge to lead that effort. While a July 22nd, 2021 article in the Carlisle Sentinel detailed the closing of the Bishop Bridge, another article 3 days later in the same newspaper detailed private efforts to save the Sheepford Road Bridge. But that did not inspire similar action from the private citizens in our township. I have copies of both the articles if you'd like to read them. I want to say that Cumberland and York counties have been excellent partners through this long process. They delayed the removal of Bishop Bridge on several occasions, which has surely increased their costs. I thank them for their patience. The same email from Commissioner Fairchild claimed that if the township took ownership, the counties have offered $275,000, which is budgeted for removal of the bridge, plus a possible $200,000 through the county small bridge program. He made that same statement on a TV interview the other day. To be clear, Cumberland County did offer a $275,000 reimbursement, provided that any work done on the bridge met PennDOT liquid fuels requirements. The county has never committed any money from the small bridge program to Bishop Bridge, and I confirmed that again today. This meant Upper Allen Township would have had to pay the $1,050,000 up front and wait for PennDOT approval. If the improvements did not get PennDOT approval, there would be no money from the county, and as stated, no guaranteed funds from the small bridge program. This would have left Upper Allen taxpayers with a $1,050,000 bridge that vehicles could not use. I also want to address inaccuracies in an opinion piece by Martha Judy Bailey, published by the Patriot News on July 6, 2025. In that piece, she stated that Cumberland County will retain ownership and they plan to demolish it in the bridge. In reality, all bridges across the Yellow Breeches are jointly owned by Cumberland and York counties, and they jointly decided Bishop Bridge was no longer needed. I would note that in 2017, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania did an inventory of all iron bridges, and they classified them as excellent, good, or moderate. Sheepford Road was excellent. Bishop was moderate. I would reclassify them if I was doing it. I would say yes, definitely, maybe, and no way. And I think we got to have Bishop to end up being a no way. Ms. Bailey wrote that the bridge was closed in in 2019 due to safety concerns, but was actually closed in July of 2021. She then incorrectly implied that the emergency access was built after the closure, stating, in the meantime, an emergency access road costing $360,000 was built across private property nearby Messiah University to patch the gap. Another bridge nearby was replaced, but this bridge, the actual solution, was ignored. In truth, the emergency access road was constructed in 2018 before the closure of Bishop Bridge, and the other bridge nearby is the Gilbert Bridge, which was replaced in 2006. Rearranging the timeline of these events creates a misleading picture. My final thought is if Upper Island needs a bridge in that location in the distant future, I personally believe a one-lane, height-restricted, weight-restricted bridge will not meet township needs, and the bridge would have to be removed in favor of a modern two-lane bridge. I support its preservation, but not where it is and not with taxpayer money.
Any other board members? Comments from the audience?
Judy Bailey, 450 East Lisburn Road. This is a very complex, ongoing problem for the township, and a lot of different opinions and a lot of details. I have never been involved with a project that didn't have a feasibility study of this size to define the problems so that everybody can see and everybody can be contacted that's involved. And I just find it confusing that there was no feasibility study done. I think if you'd ask CS Davidson, that's usually what happens with a big project. They would be contracted to do a feasibility study, and all the cards get out on the table and we find out what the advantages and disadvantages of a problem. I don't know that York County has been invested into this, has been contacted. Monaghan Township reportedly.
They have been contacted. I just wanted to
Okay.
set that right. And we've
I
had
know
some
they've been
joint,
contacted
we've
because
had
I
some
talked-
joint meetings. Sorry.
I don't know that they've been able to have input in that. We've considered their position. And I don't know that Monaghan Township has recently been contacted with what's going on. It's a dynamic problem, and I would ask for a feasibility study so that all the details are worked out and clear, because once it's gone, it's gone. And we'll be spending a lot more money to replace it if we decide that we do need to replace the bridge.
Okay, thank you. Robin?
Thanks, 835 Grantham Road. All I keep hearing is taxpayer money, taxpayer money. However, when some projects are being established in this township, taxpayer money is not being considered. Can you tell me how much money was paid for the Generations Park? Nobody paid any money for the property was donated? I'm asking. You said none. Who paid for the property for Generations Park?
The real estate was bought with township
The
money.
township money, yes. Taxpayer money, yes.
That's correct.
This is what I'm saying. You don't want to take taxpayer money to keep a historical bridge, but you're going to take taxpayer money. You've already torn down some historical places for Generations Park. How much is that going to cost before all this?
Wait, I'm sorry.
Wasn't there some historical building?
That was relocated.
Okay, all
To
right.
be preserved, yes.
Okay, well then good. Then why don't
And
you
that was
take,
at the initiative of the township and
then why don't
included.
we
May I
take
speak?
taxpayer money and put towards this bridge?
We looked at that, we discussed that. How much would you like to spend of
How
taxpayer money?
much was paid for Generations
No.
Park?
Allow me to
Okay,
ask
go
a
ahead.
question. So what, in your view, is reasonable? $1 million? $2 million?
From what I
$3 million?
understand, it wasn't going to cost $1 million. I think from what you told,
So it costs well over $1 million.
what you told ABC News, from what I understand, it was not going to be $1 million.
No. No, I told them that we had an offer of $1,050,000 and I didn't believe that was correct.
Okay, so then
didn't
why
think
don't we get more bids? If
Well-
you don't believe it's correct, Why not get more bids?
We-
Well, please understand what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
You're so quick to spend taxpayer money on your initiatives, but when other things are important to other residents, you're not interested in spending taxpayer money.
Yeah, don't forget the $2 million borrowed for a soccer complex.
Yes,
There
that's
was
what,
no feasibility study at all.
well, this is what I'm
And then the
saying.
money was hidden, wasn't in the budget. And that's the
This is what
person
I'm
telling you, oh, taxpayers, this and that.
This is
Yeah.
what I'm saying. I'm
Paint,
just
okay.
asking you.
Paint a soccer ball on the water tower that we also subsidize for Viola Water. You
Yeah.
better explain what Upper Allen is about.
And not only that, our
Whoa,
little
whoa, whoa,
sewage
yeah.
covers that have Upper Allen Township on it that you can't even see it while you're driving over them, but that's another thing.
That's in case they're stolen. They can be identified. There's money in scrap
How
metal.
many, yeah, but how many were stolen in Upper Allen Township?
I
But
don't have
anyway,
any.
that's not my point. My point is, yes, you expect people to come to every single meeting and hear what's going on. People have busy lives. We can't. I've said before, why don't you survey the residents? When you're doing a project, survey the residents, get the residents' opinion and their input. And another thing, this however many $100,000 that the Cumberland County spent to put that access road in from Bishop to the college, why is it closed off?
Because it was agreed to be an emergency access.
Okay, so,
You need 2 points of egress
yes, I
for
understand.
those houses. So if.
But that's
Gilbert
money,
Bridge-
taxpayer money spending to pay for that.
But
That
you
was
can't
Cumberland
use it.
County's choice. Cumberland County said, we're going to close the bridge. And the people that live back there and the township said, you can't leave them there with only one method of egress. So they went to Messiah College at the time and said, we'd like to do a deal with you for emergency
A deal?
access.
Yeah,
And they
okay.
did.
A deal, right,
They-
they did.
And it was 360,000, 180,000 paid by Cumberland and 180,000 paid by York.
Well, and another thing, I'm going to
Jim,
quote
it was
something.
taxpayer money.
And another thing, I think you said something in there about 2,600 residents won't use it. You were quoted as saying something of 2,600, there's 2,600 residents in Upper Allen Township.
No, it's not. I have the interview here if you'd
Okay.
like to see it. No, if you're going to quote me, I'd like you to quote me
No,
right.
but
You have
listen.
a habit of not quoting.
2,600 residents going to use Generations Park.
I think so.
Oh, I think more than that.
You think so?
Yes.
Upper Allen Township residents.
Yes.
Every resident's going to go out there.
If it's built to completion, we have 23,000 people
23,000, I'm sorry, thank you.
in the township.
But that's what I'm saying. Again, you don't want to use taxpayer dollars for certain things,
Okay. Are
but
you
very.
finished? I detest when you come up and attack us personally.
Attacking you. I'm not. I'm speaking for residents is what I'm saying. Residents who can't be here. That's what I'm trying
Okay.
to say.
But let's let some other residents speak then, okay?
But they're not here. They've asked me to speak for them, but thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Rob.
Go ahead, John.
Thanks, 835 Grantham Road. We were you brought up Gilbert Bridge.
Mhm.
Okay, I wonder, why would they put the money into putting that bridge in there when the area below it obviously floods out because,
Yep.
so why would they?
I don't know. You have to ask the county. They
They
didn't.
seem to know everything else. That's why I'm asking.
Wait. Now, I'm not gonna put up with,
It's my time. You let me
is.
speak.
But to ask a question.
meeting and you don't attack.
I don't care. You work for me.
You're right.
That's right. I am right. Okay?
I'm asking you to show some.
Listen,
decorum.
you talk about taxpayer dollars. You drive around, you got new dump trucks, you got new grappling trucks, you got new vac trucks, you got new all of this stuff.
Mhm.
Okay? Did you ever bring it up to the residents?
Absolutely. Every decision that was
Okay,
made
well, you're
in
gonna have to show me minutes because I've been to many meetings and I don't recall any, you know?
Okay.
So you got that. Now, as far as this, what she was talking about, you quoted, was you said that you don't think that $1 million is accurate.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So if you don't think that the $1 million is accurate, Why don't we take a little bit more time and do a little bit more research?
We've
to
been
find
doing
out-
this, we've been doing this since 2014. I have, if you want to go over the
Well,
numbers, in October of 2017,
yeah.
Janet Fleming said there would be $2 million to bring it back up to vehicular. $2 million in 2017. You think the price has gone down since 2017?
Well, I don't
Check your
know.
facts.
There's a lot of other things. Another question I got,
Yeah.
okay, we demoed that bridge. Now you got the old bridge. What are you gonna do with the metal? Are you just gonna scrap it? Are you
It's-
gonna
it's-
check with people?
It's not our bridge. It's
don't-
what the county's going to do with it. Whatever they want to do with it, they can do with it. They're going to pay to have it taken down, the two counties, and they'll decide what happens with the scrap.
So the
It's not-
issue here is that they're paying half and we're paying half. Is that what?
We're not paying half. It's Cumberland County's paying half and York County's paying half.
Okay.
Upper Island Township is not paying a cent.
Well, then why are we arguing about this stupid crap? Rip it down and throw it the hell away.
That's, I think.
I mean, what the hell is going on here? I mean, it's like, I don't know.
I think what's going on, John,
I
that's
mean, I
not,
understand it's a historical thing. I understand that.
it's a
But
legitimate,
if we don't have any say, okay, there's no reason to argue about it.
you.
And as far as this guy back here talking about calling the cops every time, he's gonna have to call regional if he's on that side. He wouldn't be calling our officers.
No, he lives in Upper Island Township.
He lives in Upper Island Township.
Well, I thought that was York County, the line.
No, but he lives on the Upper Island side. He lives.
So he's not the stone house on the other side?
This
No.
stone house is in Upper Island. There's a peninsula that comes out, the creek winds around.
Okay.
So
You know, I'm still concerned about taxpayer dollars, you know?
And
And I think it would be a simple matter to do a little bit more research. I mean, I don't remember when, I mean, who the hell knows? Maybe Messiah College will buy it, just like they did this, the wooden bridge. You know, that was a historical bridge, you know, but as far as squabbling over the amount, if we're not gonna be paying a cent, and I do typically, I understand the historicness. I mean, I've been around this township since I was 3 years old. You know, that's an old bike route and everything. But as far as all this, I mean, so the other county put a bridge into nowhere, you know? I mean, that Gilbert Bridge, they might as well take that down. Why did they put the money into that? Nobody knows. You know, well, if they put the money into that, why don't we ask them, why don't they put the money into this one?
Well,
the reasons they've given for not keeping this bridge up is that it's not needed. It's too expensive to
No, it was being
refurbish.
used until it was closed off.
Well, I'm telling you what they told us. It was not needed because there are other bridges close. It's too expensive to rehab it to make it vehicular. And when they did the traffic study, it was one of the lowest volume use bridges that they have to take care of. They rank everything on how much people use it.
So,
And the other low volume bridge was Sheepford. And when the Sheepford people found out in Lower Allen, they said, we're going to save this bridge. And they went out privately, created a group. They went to York County, told them what they had and what they could do. York County agreed to go for a grant. They got a $2 million grant and they're restoring it, but on the condition that the county doesn't have to own it when it's done. It's going to be owned by West Shore Historical Society.
really, there ain't, I mean, say you get an engineer that says, you don't need to tear that bridge down. You could take 3 2-inch I-beams and put underneath there for $75 a piece plus $250 for installation a piece. But that wouldn't be good enough?
So
That's what we have. That's why the bid is so good, because they know how to disassemble it and take it to a shop, not do the work over the water, not require a crane, not require cutting down trees. And it is easily comparable to what the bid that Sheepford Road got was 1.7 million from Kinsley. You know, the difference between the million 50 and the 1.7 million is because of the engineering and the cranes.
no, the engineering's above that. The
But
engineering,
nobody
it's
thought,
$2 million.
if York County doesn't,
But it's-
I mean, if we have no say, nobody thought of, well, geez, you put that, I don't know how many $1 million bridge in Gilbert for no reason. There was no reason to put it there. If
Right.
it always floods down there, or those guys above the flood zone don't need nothing. The people on this side, is that why they put that access road in?
In 2006, when they replaced Gilbert Bridge, they just came to us and said, we're replacing Gilbert Bridge and it's going to be closed. told the fire department, and that was it.
No, I tell, I'm,
But, you know, Gilbert Bridge was also in the National Register. So you were told about it, you didn't defend it, you didn't do anything, you know, and you pretend to be, Jim, some historical expert, you cite that this is a 7 and Sheepford's a 9. Well, Gilbert was on the National Register. Somebody went through all that work all
Both
those
those
years ago
bridges were.
to get that recognition, and they didn't defend it or do anything, just accepted what the county said. And you look at really a series of bad decisions that we end up this way. And then we
Oh,
are close to having
absolutely.
a solution, and we won't take it because we now selectively complain about those tax dollars.
Okay.
Yet it'll be it's on the agenda tonight. There's going to be $250,000 moved over to the Stormwater Authority because
What?
we have this continually digging up these crappy old, poorly installed metal pipes and all these roads and all this development that's occurred. And that's okay to dig up this 20-year-old steel.
Has
But the
anybody driven?
127-year-old wrought iron that's lasted us all this time, and if it's properly renovated, it will last another 100 years. That's the amazing thing. But they won't invest in that. But stormwater all over the place, and it's a series.
Well,
every
that's good that
month
it was brought
of
up because
Meadowview,
Grantham
of
Road needs
Canterbury.
dug up again
you
for
know.
that work that they did for Messiah College.
All right.
Because the road is sinking and it's dangerous and you need to take a drive down there and look.
Where in Grantham, John?
The section that they just recently did for well, Messiah and,
No, but I'm just trying.
well, it's actually it's, how do I want to
You
put
mean
it?
from the square to the bridge or the?
Pretty much from the square up to what Messiah considers their main entrance,
Yeah, okay,
which
got it.
it never
Okay,
is.
that-
It never was. I don't know how that came about, but
Okay, but no, you've answered the question. I just wanted to know where you were.
Yep.
referenced. I'll-
you go down there
I'll
and you
take
look
it-
at the
we'll take a
one
look.
storm drain
Yep,
across from the
very good.
soccer field,
Yep, I'm with you.
and it's
Okay.
about
But that
2
was
feet.
the,
Do you have
So-
anything else, John?
that was the Lisbon, that
I
was
got a
the
lot,
sewer
but
line. That was the sewer line replacement.
Yeah,
And they received a grant to do that.
Yeah.
Do you think this township would ever apply for a
Do
historic
you
grant?
think this
They're giving
township would
them-
ever
Shepherd
do
got
anything
a-
about that unless I
Shepherd got
shot
a
my big
historic
mouth
grant.
off?
We refuse to apply for historic grants
Okay,
because we're a first-class township, you know?
okay.
I
Thanks,
didn't
John.
apologize. I didn't think that. I thought you were.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Claudia Ward, 813 Grantham Road. And this is like one of the first times, or maybe second or third times I've come to a town board meeting. And part of the reason is, like Robin said, we are busy, we have our lives, but part of it is not having enough communication. It sounds like there's a lot of conflict, and a lot of the conflict is because people don't have the communication. And part of it is these projects that come up, we don't know until they're done. So it would be good if there was some way you could post things that are going to be coming up in places where people would know, or
They're on the,
somehow let
ma'am,
us
they're
know.
on the township website.
Every meeting.
I realized, yeah. How often do you post the actual projects?
There's
so
a
that-
page on projects too, on the development projects at least.
Okay, are they listed separately as projects so that, like, under projects? Okay.
But you're right, it's difficult. That's a challenge in our modern day. I mean, communication, make sure everybody gets involved. So you have a legitimate issue that all organizations try to address. And I think we've taken some positive steps to do that. But, you know, if you have suggestions of even how more we could get it, communication out, please give them to us, because we do want people to know, and our meetings and decision-making is open.
Other people have
But thanks,
suggested putting the development projects in the newsletter, and I don't know why we don't do that.
Well, the last newsletter, we sent out a request for people to respond to a survey. And there's between 23 and 24,000 people in the township, and the last number I heard for responses was 240. I mean, so it's
a two-way street.
Yeah, it's maybe 1% of the people take an interest, and should 1% decide for 99%, it becomes very difficult.
Okay.
But thanks for coming tonight.
Oh, you're welcome.
No,
I do want to also support Robin in that Robin and John actually are the people who actually let us know what's happening.
Good.
So they do speak for us
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. I want you to know that.
Well, I
But
appreciate
thank you very
that.
much.
Thank you for coming. Anyone else?
I live at 316 Gettysburg Pike. Obviously, it's a beautiful bridge, it's historic. And a lot of reasons that people want to live in a township like Upper Allen is bridges like this, McCormick Park and the areas we have that are so beautiful. I mean, I've lived all over the United States.
Oh,
My job.
address the
I'm
board.
sorry, I've lived all over the United States with my job, from San Diego to Seattle, San Francisco, you name it, Texas, Oklahoma, New York. And all this time, this is probably this is the longest I've ever lived in one place, to tell you the truth. Grew up a Navy brat, so I never lived in one place then either. But I chose to make my home in Central PA and Upper Allen because it is beautiful. You know, one disappointment was Chick-fil-A going in and that being built up there. But I understand that, but you lose a cornfield, you lose a couple of historic homes up there. It is a beautiful bridge. And, you know, I think people should have probably stepped up earlier. This has been going on since 2006. And the bridge isn't owned by Upper Allen Township. So, you know, that's a York County, Cumberland County address that needs to be made. And if people are willing to save it now, this is the time they need to step up before someone knocks it down. But the thing I don't agree upon is attacking the members up here. And, you know, I heard the question of township money being spent on equipment and things like that. I happen to represent and have represented multiple John Deere dealerships. And I can tell you, Upper Allen is very difficult to sell anything to. They do take due process with everything, every piece of equipment they buy. They run us through the ringers, and a lot of the townships in the state of PA do. But again, I would say that the reason my wife and I, number one, moved to Central PA and have decided not to move on from here, but to make this where we live. My family comes out from all over the world, Russia, everywhere else. This is a beautiful area. They enjoy the history here. So if people really want to save this bridge, you know, I don't think attacking these gentlemen are going to do anything to save that bridge, but maybe going to a Cumberland County or York County meeting. That's all I needed to say. But again, it's a beautiful township. Try to keep it that way.
Yeah. Thanks for your positive comments. Anyone else want to speak on the issue of the bridge?
Debbie Getz, 1117 McCormick Road.
If you just pull it down a bit,
Okay.
speak right into the mic. It's hard to.
Okay. Debbie Getz, 1117 McCormick Road. I'm so proud of my Upper Allen Township blanket, my historical blanket. It's one of the original ones from the first edition. And I just wanted to say, when we think about whether the bridge should be saved, if the Lambert farmhouse had been demolished and not saved, just think about what a missed opportunity that short-sighted action would have been for all of us and for everyone visiting our area. It is becoming a beautiful historical site for everyone to admire and appreciate. The Bishop Road Bridge is the same situation. If it can be saved as a historical landmark, then it will enhance the richness and character of the township. Both deserve a place in the fabric of Upper Allen Township and on the literal woven blanket of historical places located within our township. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Anyone else? Okay. Thanks for the input. Thanks for, that was the one from before. Yeah, bridge. I think so. Debbie, just curious, the bridge is on that, or a bridge is on that blanket, correct? Or isn't there?
I think they're all buildings.
There's no. What is it?
Covered
Phil?
bridge on?
The side covered bridge.
Oh, the covered bridge. I knew there was some bridge on there because we have one of those too. So. Okay. Thank you for your input. Thanks for attending. And as I mentioned, there was no action scheduled, but I think that it was requested to be on the agenda, and the manager and wanted to give us an update along with the county status. So thanks for the discussion. Moving then to sanitary
Could I
sewer.
just ask Mr. Fazekas a question? There's a little difference in what you wrote in your summary of the meeting on September 4th at the bridge.
There's what?
Of what the timeline was with the county. Like at that point, you wrote that it was going to be put out the bid within 30 days and it would be awarded at the end of October. Now it seems like it's been moved back somewhat, that it may not be awarded.
It's an update. And that's what, another reason to have it on here so that the public is aware of what's going on.
Right.
30 to 60 days, bids due in sometime around November, award by December with an early start before spring and boaters and fishermen get on the creek to enjoy it. So yes,
And that's been the pattern, that the county has been very flexible and cooperative. So
You're right.
it was somewhat of a surprise that, those dates were put forth at that meeting. So I'm glad it's a little more relaxed and, time,
Okay.
to consider things. Thank you.
Move.
I think one more comment about Bishop Bridge.
Yes.
Sorry for interrupting.
Well, I gave you, come in. I want to be, we need to keep the,
I know, I'm sorry.
where have you been?
Maybe 30 seconds or so. Mike Onifray, 2 Oakwood Avenue, Mechanicsburg. I was just at Bishop Bridge with a friend of mine, a civil engineer. He's been an engineer in both for 40 years. And we visited Bishop Bridge on Monday, this past week, for 15 minutes. He looked at the structure and he said it's in bad shape, okay? But he had texted me later and said if this was a covered bridge, it would have been saved. So that's just something to think about. That is historical, like a covered bridges are. And if people like covered bridges and want to save them, this is just as historical as they are.
Yeah. Huh.
And he said they would be saved if it was a covered bridge, and it would be nice to see this saved as well.
Okay.
That's all I need to say. Thanks.
You're welcome. I don't know on what basis he made that comment, but thanks for sharing.
And are you
Okay.
just aware, just I promise my last one. It is, Sheepford Bridge has sat longer than Bishop, not being
What do you mean,
used.
that it's older?
Since they closed it and
Oh.
when they just started the rehabilitation this week. That's also in the news. So I think it's set for 6, 7 years. What's Bishop has set for what, 4 or 5 years now? I know, but then the final one was, I think, 2021. So
Okay.
anyway.
We are going to go sanitary sewer. We have a vacancy on the sewer advisory board. I believe we have an applicant that attended our last meeting. Are you going to introduce that?
Sure, yeah. We have a vacancy on the sewer advisory board. The applicant is Patrick Cicero. He was here and spoke to the board last commissioners meeting. I'm thoroughly impressed with his education, qualifications, experience. So certainly would be nice to fill that vacancy on the board.
Okay. Any questions and or proposed action?
I would move to appoint Patrick Cicero to the Upper Allen Township Sewer Advisory Board.
I would second.
Been moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Anything else on sewer?
Nothing further.
Okay, fantastic. Moving then to administration. We have our handouts with respect to the budget update. Lou?
Yes, in front of you and our finance director, Zach Harvey, put together this report for the sewer and for the general fund. And both funds are being managed within budgetary constraints. There aren't any particular issues with this. As we talked about in the stormwater authority in the previous meeting, we are running tight on those funds, and we'll be discussing that in more detail. We have a budget kickoff meeting tomorrow at 5 p.m. and we'll be providing some additional information at that point. But in terms of these two funds, they're operating within budgetary constraints.
Okay, fantastic. I don't note specifically on the transfers, but now since we're talking about budget, now may be the appropriate time.
Yes, I provided you with we're getting ready, we're doing the budget now. Our first budget meeting on the general fund will be, I believe, September 23rd. And as part of this budget process, we normally, we just gathered all the ones that were scheduled to be transferred this year. And I provided you with a memo that showed the general fund that was a transfer that was projected to be at $2,900,000 and some $1,000. And because the Stormwater Authority is running short on funds, cash flow, we are recommending that $250,000 be transferred as a loan to the Stormwater Authority to help get us through until the fourth quarter. The invoices go out to residents. The rest of those funds were budgeted to be transferred during the 2025, and we're asking that we do those transfers now. So we provide you a complete budget report by Friday in preparation for our first meeting on the 23rd. We can update those sheets with those transfers as recommended. But again, we're asking that the transfer from the general fund that the board approved transferring $250,000 at the stormwater as a loan.
Okay, questions and/or we should take action on that?
Yeah, I would move to authorize staff to make the transfers that are listed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved in second. Discussion?
I would just note when Mrs. Getz spoke that a stormwater pipe is going to be replaced in front of their property on McCormick Road. Do we know what the cost is going to be yet, Jason?
I do. I apologize. I don't want to misquote it, but it's in the range of $100,000.
I know that was the
Plus or
figure
minus,
I had in mind, and I'm just saying we get hit with this all the time, $100,000, $200,000, whatever. So in the scheme of things, this incremental $600,000 on Bishop Bridge just seems so minor. And also, Mr. Fazekas, I think that the budget's going to come in at least $30 million of expenditures. That's what it was last year. I mean, we're in that neighborhood in terms of all of our funds.
Well, you'd be counting transfers in there too. It's not 30 million in expenditures. The transfers between funds.
It's that, that's 30 million net.
I think you're incorrect, but
We can
We
look
do
at
have
it.
proprietary funds in there that the board is restricted on using for other purposes. So, so when you talk about 30 million, some of those are sewer funds that are restricted to those
Yeah,
primary.
and some is like capital reserve, which is like a savings account.
Yes.
It shows 30 million as the bottom line number.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor to authorize the transfer of the funds out of general fund. Any other discussion?
just for clarity, it's of all the funds listed. So there's some fire operating funds and sewer operating funds and capital reserve funds, not just general.
Yes, but problem. Thank you. Other discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Lou Fazekas has done a fantastic job of serving as our acting manager in the absence of Mr. Fraser. And even though we love having him around, he wants to get on with life. And we went through, as many of you know, an interviewing process, posted a job for the manager position to replace Mr. Fraser. We had a whole series of interviews and checked references and backgrounds, et cetera. And I'm pleased to say that Keldine Stamball, who lives in Paxtang and is currently the manager of the Paxtang Borough, is the candidate that we offered an offer to come join us and be the Upper Allen Township manager. And she has agreed to do that, I believe, effective October 6th. So if it's the will of the board, I'd like a motion to appoint her as township manager so that that is actually official.
So moved.
Well, that's 3 of us, 2 seconds. And you two guys can second it, don't we?
I'll second.
I might mention, folks, that this was a very involved process and we took it very seriously, but I think when we came to the bottom line, we all voted unanimously to extend the offer to her. And so now I will have a motion and a second to appoint her as township manager. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. So I will tell her she has a new job next month.
I don't want to see Lou go. He is doing an outstanding job to come out of retirement
you know, and
and pick up the ball the way you
And
have.
there's a lot of room for volunteerism in up around town. You can volunteer to be a manager.
I was a manager here for 20 years from 2000 till 2020. And I did agree to come back out of retirement to help out while the board looked for a new manager. So surprisingly, over 5 years of retirement, how many things have not changed? There's documents I've signed 5 years ago that are coming up for renewal now, and I'll get to sign them again. So I get to go down in history for a little bit longer anyway. But I appreciate the board's opportunity and thank them for allowing me to come back.
My wife came home and said, had interacted with Lou and said, Lou seems so much more relaxed now. I said, yeah, because he knows it's only a short period of time.
Well, you've certainly been of service to us, Lou. Thank you, but you're not done yet. Okay, the receipt of the minimum municipal obligation, the MMOs, and Lou has a memo here dated September 8th. Did you wish to point anything out?
Yes, every year around this time, we do the calculations for the minimum municipal obligation for the pension plans. We have the police, the fire, the traditional plan, and the 401 type plan. So we do those calculations based on what the actuary tells us. And we provided some numbers here as to what is required to fund the pension plans. In the total for 2026 MMO of $649,491. And the breakdowns provided both for the uniform pension plan, non-uniform pension plan, of both retirement plans. So it doesn't, all that's needed tonight is just the acknowledgement that this is presented to the board, and this has to be signed and then forwarded on to our actuary, who will then forward it on to the state.
So that will be a minuted record, so that should be suffice, correct? Yeah.
That's correct. All you have to do is acknowledge receipt of the minimum municipal obligation.
Yeah, that's a good. All right, and then I don't have a memo on this one, Lou, did I? The membership in the police pension committee and the non-uniformed.
I can address that.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, well, there was a question raised at the last meeting regarding the last meeting of the pension committee and whether or not that complied with the Sunshine Act. And just so everyone's aware, the pension committee does advertise and hold its meetings publicly. What happened with that particular meeting is that it met on the advertised date and it did not finish all of its business before the conclusion of the meeting. So it announced that it was going to reconvene that meeting at a later date. And that complies with the Sunshine Act. There's no requirement that if you reconvene a meeting at a later date that it has to be re-advertised. The next time the pension committee is going to meet has been advertised and is in the minutes tonight. It's going to meet at 8 a.m. on November 10th. In researching this, however, we found out that the pension committee is not properly comprised at the moment. And so I went back and reviewed there are plan documents for a non-employee retirement plan and a non-employee pension plan, or I'm sorry, non-uniformed employee pension plan, and there's a police pension plan. And each of those plans have that they're to be administered by a committee of 3 people to be appointed by the Board of Commissioners. When Ms. Anderson resigned, she was on the former pension committee and there was never anyone appointed in her place. So any action that was taken at the last meeting, I recommended that it be put on hold and not taken until there were proper members appointed and the pension committee is properly constituted. So to accomplish that, you would need to appoint 3 people to be members of, and there's actually supposed to be 2 pension committees, one for non-uniformed employees and one for uniformed employees. I think historically, the same people have been appointed to each, or, well, no,
Not always.
yes. But historically, there's been two commissioners on each committee and then one employee on each committee. And so that's what I would recommend, that you appoint two commissioners and one employee to serve on both committees.
Okay. And that will need to be done prior to the next meeting so we can ratify it in November, right?
Correct. And then that board would be properly comprised
Okay.
and any decisions that have been put on hold could be decided fully, transparently in the public at that time.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't quite agree with the characterization of it being a reconvened meeting. I forget what date we met, maybe it was August the 10th or something, but it was an August 26th meeting was was a special presentation on reallocating the fund. You know, we have a traditional like 65% stock, 35% bond, and some alternative investments. So the August 26th meeting was to hear more about alternative investments, and 3 different alternative investments were presented. I believe it'd be a 2% allocation for each. One was a private equity fund. One was like a corporate debt fund. The other one was like a corporate takeover fund. They were all, to me, a high fee, not a great return, not worth the risk. I do have some professional experience in financial management. But the biggest issue, to my mind, was that we have a highly diversified portfolio of over 3,000, stocks, the Russell 3000 plus international exposure. So we were then concentrating 6% of the portfolio in 3 issues. And I don't think that's good portfolio management. But anyway, I had wanted, and then we got into an exchange about the philosophy. It was mainly me writing an email, and then Jim, and kind of like how we have a different view on the bridge, we have a different view on these alternative investments. And they're anathema to me. But I had asked at the last meeting that this information be put in the minutes. So I have it again. I'm asking again to be attached to the minutes so that the people could see what this committee is looking at.
The pension minutes or?
No, the August 26th presentation, which was previously provided, and like a 3-page email here. And then the other one, when you invest in these alternative exotic investments, whatever you want to call them, it requires a special disclosure in your financial statements. And there is no market value of the investments and so forth. And it makes us look, I just think, pretty reckless, just for the disclosure.
Minutes are your reference to the pension minutes or the BOC minutes? That's was my question.
There are no minutes. I am referencing the document that was presented to us, and
you requested they be put in the minutes.
In the minutes. Well, at the last meeting. So I'm requesting, they be put in these minutes?
In the pension committee minutes or the board minutes?
This meeting now, tonight, to be added as an addendum.
That's my question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, the purpose of the minutes is to reflect the actions that are taken at that meeting. And there's no action that's going to be taken until November 10th. I don't control, it's not my decision what goes in the minutes. That's up to the Board of Commissioners, what they want to put in the minutes. My recommendation as legal counsel is that you keep the minutes to reflect the decisions that were made at the meeting in question. So I would not recommend that you attach those documents to the meeting minutes for this meeting, because there's no decision being made on those investments at this meeting. Those decisions will be made at the November 10th meeting and reflected in the minutes of that meeting. So that's when it would be appropriate to raise those issues and and to attach those to the minutes.
So several months ago, Mr. Cochran raised the issue of, we had a right to know request by Joanne Bitzer about the vacancy hearing proceedings. And Mr. Cochran wanted them added to the minutes of that meeting. I think it was in April, something like that. So those minutes now read 200 and some pages long with a lot of redacted information. So this is like 30 pages. So at that time, it was permitted that we add this extraneous material.
No, I always recommended against.
Well, somehow the
extraneous
board
material.
did that. So if that was the case, then I think the case should be now that we allow these 40 pages in here, which involve a lot more dollars than what's on Bishop Bridge, and let the public see what is being considered. It's the only defense I feel I have as an elected official to monitor, some of these activities and some of these decisions that are being made. And you, in effect, are trying to censure what I want to put into the minutes, like it's irrelevant, immaterial, or whatever Perry Mason would say, because, it's very important. And
I'm not.
you, sir, are not the sixth vote or tell us what to do all the time. Your opinion varies. No, he's out of line. You don't agree 1 month. Oh, that's okay to do it. And then another commissioner wants to do something to much less degree and then say, oh, no, no, no. And I don't
Mr.
know.
Fairchild,
The solicitor the board here can decide, are we going to do it or not?
He
And
just
that's what my
recommended we
advice-
do it when we discussed the pension committee.
I want to get it over with now. Are we going to put this information in the minutes or do you want me to start reading what it is? And am I allowed to filibuster?
No.
Yeah, I'll be here all night because there is so much brushed under the rug that the public can't see and that we get at the last minute. It's the same old thing, Bishop Bridge. And now this pension meeting was 20 minutes and this reallocation would have been $1.2 million. And we spent 20 minutes on it and Jim was gung ho to do it. And I say, no, that's taxpayer money too. And it is improper.
So,
Pension funds.
so for full disclosure, since Commissioner Fairchild's left out a few facts again, our pensions have not always been 65-35. They've always been 10% alternative for the 20 years that I've been on the board. That was our target. And for alternatives, we used in the past commodities, and we used real estate investments because these things are not correlated, which is a financial term, with the stock market. It means that they don't typically go down when the stock market goes down. It gives you a little more stability in unstable times. The real estate that we've been invested in pays out over time and it goes away. So for the last year or so, we've not had 10% in alternatives. And our advisor, PFM, came to us and said, here, we don't recommend real estate anymore, particularly in this market. And I can understand why after COVID, a lot of real estate stands empty and it's a very risky market. But here is private equity, private debt, and private infrastructure. And we would recommend small investments in each of these. And that's what he came to talk to us about. And we didn't make a decision. And I have no problem with sharing that with the public. I don't,
Okay.
it's not
That
a
would be
big
good. Then
deal.
they can,
But it ought to be done when we talk about the investments. It shouldn't just, the right to know was released to the public prior to that meeting. And I asked, since it was released prior to the meeting, can we put it in the meeting? That was the meeting closest to the release of the right to know. And it was agreed. So we're going to talk about the investment committee next meeting, is my understanding. So why don't we put them in then if you want to?
why don't we just
I don't
put it
care.
in now that the public can see it?
Because-
Then they know better what we're talking about at that point.
Because it has nothing to do with the current board meeting.
Right.
Yeah, it
It's-
does.
it's
It's
a-
on the agenda. We just discussed the composition of the pension committee. And that we have some problems in our ordinance, and I didn't hear any reference to this chapter 55 that's in our ordinance that, whether the ordinance trumps the pension plan documents or what, but it references, it doesn't say how many people are to be on these committees. And it says Capital Bank and Trust Company is the current designated trustee of the plan. So that is incorrect.
Correct.
So we need a text amendment. We're not talking about that. We're just we're receiving this opinion, oh, the board should be this and that. And I do reject the idea that we only appoint two, maybe it's the chairman's choice as to who to appoint, but we have these situations where we have these meetings that, Phil and I, as new commissioners, we learned early on, we better attend all these morning meetings if we want to keep up what's going on. So we sit, like, we call it the kids' table in the back, their backs to us, and they all talk about it. I mean, they did give us the courtesy of allowing us to speak. but
Commissioner
it's
Fairchild,
pretty-
that is
pretty-
incorrect. You
No.
are allowed to sit at the table on the committees that you are appointed as a liaison.
Right.
Just like when I go to planning commission, I sit in the back. So you're treated no differently than anyone else. And I get tired of your constant belittlement of this board and our process. And it's time that we start acting collaboratively like mature adults rather than trying to pick at one another like we're
So
some
what I'm
school
saying
kids.
is just let all of the commissioners sit at the table, have as big of a
You're
penchant
welcome. It's a public
as,
meeting.
as you can. I know.
So
Well,
what are you
the
talking
public
about?
didn't
We
know
sat
about this
aside.
August 26th meeting.
Okay, do you have anything else for pension, Josh?
No.
Thank you. Let's move then to Park and Recreation. Do you have any reports? There's nothing on the agenda. Any updates there? Oh,
I have an
Before we go there, can we, do you want to identify who you want to point to that, or you want to wait till later?
I was going to wait till
Okay.
till I have confer with Josh
Okay.
to make sure how many people should be on it or must be on it. I want to get clarification because I don't want to hurt Mr. Fairchild's feelings, but I hate getting attacked in public with half truths and innuendos. I
Okay.
really resent that tonight. Go ahead, Alexis.
Is this allowed in the minutes? The answer is no. Actions speak louder than words. You don't want public disclosure.
Oh, I think we were advised by our solicitor to wait and put those with the minutes when the pension board meets. Alexis, I'm sorry that we interrupted you several times, but we aren't acting very grown up, are we?
I am just giving a parks update. This is on Chad's behalf. At Winding Hill North, the outdoor fitness area is completed and open to the public. The train viewing area has also been opened officially, and the grand opening will be the Saturday, the 20th at 10 a.m. For the ribbon cutting for that. The Grantham Pond Rehabilitation Project is progressing well and remains on track to be completed in early October. On the maintenance side, staff began the fall fertilizer program for the athletic fields, completed roadside spraying for public works, and continued weekly mowing of roughly 150 acres. Routine playground inspections were carried out with 2 repairs completed this month. Treat Tuesdays and Food Truck Fridays have been wrapped up finally for the season. Fall Fest is right around the corner. It is September 26th from 4 to 9 at Winding Hill Park. It's going to be massive, and there's going to be a drone show this year, so make sure you come out. And then that's it for Chad's little report here.
You missed one thing, and we have Debbie Getz set you up perfectly with, and she brought in her blanket. Don't you want to talk about blankets?
Oh, sure. We are still selling. We are still selling 175th anniversary commemorative blankets, and they will be on sale at Fall Fest. So bring your wallets.
Make sure you come to Fall Fest. It's going to be a great event, and we're excited because I'm the first time Upper Island, I think, has ever had a drone show. It's going to be fabulous. So rather than fireworks and the negative things that can be associated with that, we're going to have a drone show. But come out for food and just interact with Upper Island residents. Thanks, Alexis. That was a very comprehensive report. Miscellaneous, any updates by solicitor?
No.
Tax collection, I guess not. COG, we did have, I don't think any of our board participated in the golf outing that was held on Monday, but some of you were at the picnic, and we had a nice turnout there with lots of good food over at the Caddyshack at Armitage Golf Course, being hosted by Hamden Township. MAB,
Meets at the last Monday of this month.
oh, so you are meeting in September, great. I don't think we have anything for the Township Association that I'm aware of. Is there any other public comment before we adjourn? Anyone else want to address the board? Yes, John?
Thanks, 835 Grantham Road, okay. I got a question on the sludge being sucked out of the pond.
Yeah.
I thought, I don't know, a meeting or two ago, we discussed that it was gonna be tested. And then I heard through a grapevine that we don't think it needs to be tested now and we're dumping it in a park or something. And I was just, I mean,
Yeah.
from my, and I don't know everything about sludge, but from what I gathered, federal, state and local regulations say that it needs to be tested. And if it's being dripped on the road, which it is, most specifically, it needs to be tested. But I don't know.
I don't know that either, but we were advised by our engineer who did do visual inspections and I think has been in communication with the regulatory agencies. And so I'm under the impression that we did all of the work that was required.
Okay, like I said, I don't know. I would say, since I have been here since 3 years old, I don't know what toxicity would be in that sludge from that pond,
Yeah.
but I just thought I'd bring that up.
Okay.
Okay?
It's not going into.
Several references to the potential testing of that material throughout the process. Somewhere along the line, there was a disconnect. My understanding is that the contractor was allowed to use a visual. Jason, maybe you can, I think you had a better description of
Yeah,
what the
we
process.
followed the PA clean fill management policy established by DEP, which establishes protocol for both a visual and odor assessment. There is an environmental due diligence assessments conducted in advance of transport or removal of that fill. Based on my observations on the site, I did not believe that there was a potential for contamination from vehicle storage or garage maintenance or other industrial uses, fire apparatus, things of that nature. We did not observe any conditions that I felt warranted escalating the level of testing beyond what was achieved on site. That's pretty much all I have to say.
It's your business to know, so thank you very much.
Thanks for bringing it up. Anyone else in the public? Yeah, Jeff.
Jeff Williams, 334 East Meadow Drive, and I'd just like to offer something very positive tonight.
Good.
Non-contentious. I have had the opportunity to talk to folks using the new exercise equipment and at the new train viewing station at Winding Hill. And what I'm hearing are just outstanding comments. So I'd like to thank staff for being forward-looking and for this Board of Commissioners for supporting them. There is a Facebook post by one of our residents who saw a train go by.
Oh, yeah.
And the young man was jumping up and down. I was pretty thrilled with that, but I think we spend our money wisely, effectively, and once again, like I do several times a year, thank you all very much for doing a great job. And Chad and Eddie, they're not bad either. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. We needed that. Any other comments? We will have a short executive.
And Mr. Martin, I have a comment, public comment, and it ties into what Jeff just mentioned, Facebook posts. And also ties into the solicitor who gives us his advice, which I do appreciate. The standard advice is for the commissioners to limit their comments on social media. Is that not correct?
No, I've
Okay.
never advised you to limit your comments on Facebook. I've advised that any comments that you make on Facebook could be subject to open records laws. And so take that in mind whenever you make comments on Facebook, even if they're in private chat groups, that it could be subject to disclosure under the right to know law.
So I think Jim takes the award for the most posts from a commissioner standpoint on the Upper Allen Township Community Group Facebook page. And on September the 13th, he posted about hiring the new manager, and it was generally positive. And then we get to his last sentence, talks about screaming, profanity, and name calling contribute nothing to solving problems in Upper Allen Township. And then a certain Eric Fairchild commented that the new manager is a unanimous choice, and I look forward to working with her so forth, but I asked Jim, I'm reading my wrong comment. Oh, I've been attending BOC meetings for 5.5 years now. I've never heard screaming, profanity, and name calling. Please cite the occasions you are referencing or edit your post. Actually, Jim's post got taken down later on, as did some of my posts. So I don't believe, maybe there was, maybe, and that's part of why I was a little more aggressive tonight toward you, Ken, and some of the rest of the board on some of these decisions and the lack of information.
So would you
But
read,
there's
would you read my
never
post
been
again?
any screaming or profanity.
Read my
I
post
think I
again.
heard John say hell tonight, but I think I'm not sure that's on the scale of profanity is that great of a thing.
Read
So-
my post again, word for word, please.
But what?
My post.
I'm
Because,
just reading the last part. I thought it was generally good.
no, read the last part that you took objection.
Screaming, profanity, and name calling contribute nothing to solving problems in Upper Allen Township. And
Right,
that's
and it was never addressed to the board. It was, and if you've talked to any of our employees who answer phones and deal with the public, they will tell you there is screaming and yelling and profanity far too often from our residents to them, far too often. They're cursed at on a daily basis. And you took it to mean something on the board. I think the board issues speak for themselves. They're recorded. People can see how people act on the board. I have no reason to point that out. I'm pointing out what happens when they deal with the public. And that was one of the issues that Scott Fraser found objectionable. He just had enough of only people coming in to yell and scream and swear at him. So I said
No,
that.
it
And
is
you
a
jumped
tough
to a
job.
conclusion and accused me of doing something I didn't do.
I wasn't finished yet, Jim. I was describing your post, and then Mr. Williams comes back with his response. My comment about, I've never seen this screaming and profanity, at least at a board meeting. Jeff Williams says, Eric Fairchild, I have been in numerous BOC meetings and have seen you personally attack staff, question their credentials, and demean their competency. Do not try to hide on some high road when you have actually pitched what I would call a tantrum and left your BOC seat and sit in the audience saying you resign. I encourage the public to review some of the BOC meetings and enjoy your poor performance. It is a coincidence that we had our manager, had probably meant our manager and planner leave within a few months of your personal and public attacks. You are responsible for your actions, and it's mostly recorded. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. And then we have Mr. Martin commenting, thanks, Jim, for your call for civility, and we welcome our new manager. We've experienced too many administrative casualties already from unprofessional and disruptive board members. So I wanted that on the record. There's always just like a zinger that these people left because of terrible Fairchild or something. And I'm just trying to do my job as a commissioner. And I don't really like double talk. I don't like last minute documents unloaded on me. I've had many differences now, it seems, with the solicitor on some of these opinions that are guiding us. And I'll remind you, when first time we sat down with Mr. Feinauer in executive session, he said, I'm not the sixth vote. So you've been acting like the sixth and seventh vote. I actually think the manager should really be the sixth vote and should have more of a voice in some of the matters that we talk about. But anyway, that was my public comment. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for that. I will just state that I will stand by what Mr. Fairchild read in terms of my response, and I will give you my interpretation of that. And I wasn't pointing to him if he felt he was incriminated. Well, that's on him. And I also want to suggest that both Mr. Feinauer and Mr. Bond, I appreciate your service to this township. I think you give us good advice, and I think you do it objectively, and I never have sensed that you tried to sway or act as a commissioner. So I reject Mr. Fairchild's accusation, but I just wanted you to know that we do appreciate your service. Robin, I think did you raise your hand? No, please come to the mic and address the board. You know the protocol.
I'm Robin Banks, 835 Grantham Road. Personally, I don't know who's in charge of this website, Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
But
I don't either, Samantha.
well, it's we all know. It should be just for community things that are happening. And, I am going to call out you, Mr. Cochran, because when you were running the last time, you literally posted something against Eric. You quoted a newspaper article of something when he was employed. And I could not, yes.
No, it was when he was on the school board.
When he was on the school board, yes. That was so uncalled for coming from a board member. So this is what I'm saying. Whoever's in charge of that Facebook page, keep it community-wise. Don't put anything on there. Don't let I know there's certain people who comment and she doesn't let it go on. But what I'm saying is maybe it's time for somebody else to take that webpage over. Make it community things, the parks, the yard sales and things like that. But stop bashing on there, because I know there was just something put a couple of weeks ago, and it was between you and I think Mr. Williams. And I just said, keep throwing it, guys. Remember, elections are right around the corner. So, it's like, keep it nice. That's all I'm asking. So
Okay.
that's it.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to migrate into executive session. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your participation and your attendance.